Phil and Will are back, and finally, it's last Wednesday, preseason. We are finally in a week going to get season 30 started. This week, we're going to kind of go over, we're going to give an update on the boot list and like that whole challenge and everything. We're almost at 75 people. We're almost having to give out 3 buffs, so this is actually getting pretty intense. And then we're going to kind of go over the 15th anniversary magazine. So if you don't have the magazine, I don't know. I guess this is your free way to hear what we actually think about it. We're going to go over some of the top 10 lists and everything. But Willie, why don't you start it off with the boot list challenge, which has kind of gotten way bigger than either of us expected. This is cool.
Yeah, we are right now currently at 72 different boot lists, and we're not including ourselves as entries. So if you take those two away, we're at 70 entries, and then there's like 4 or 5 people who haven't yet subscribed or have their subscriptions hidden. I'm gonna, reply to those boot lists in the comments and just say, look, you got to be a subscriber, or you got to let it, you got to have your subscriptions public. So yeah, we probably another 10 entries, and we'll be at 75. That'll mean there'll be 3 buffs up for grabs. We're pretty happy with the response. And if you don't even know what I'm talking about, and you haven't watched the boot list video, or if you want to play, we'll put a little annotation in the video so that you can click and play. It's really simple. You just make a boot list. The rules are in the video, and you can win a buff. That's the goal. So we have some interesting stats we'll go over. We've compiled a communal boot list by the Phil and Will entries to make it. We've averaged them all out to make one boot list.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting to go through.
I don't actually know the final results here. I only did a couple of the people, so I don't actually know where anybody landed. You have that boot list, so this is going to be kind of interesting for me too, because I kind of have an idea of who some of the favorites are and who people aren't really liking so much. But I think it's going to be kind of interesting. Some of the numbers when I did a couple of my people, I was like, I wasn't expecting that to be like where they actually landed in terms of like what their average was. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, there are for sure some surprises, and we did a number of stats, not just the average. So those actually are pretty interesting also. But let's get started on the magazine. I actually have not read the magazine. I've seen the top 10 list, and that's what we're going to be talking about here. So if you're like me and you never picked one up or you never got one, now's your kind of chance to hear what they have to say. So yeah, they did, I think, 6 top 10 lists. Oh yeah, Phil's holding it up right now. Why don't you?
I'm promoting it right now to show that I'm the true fan here. Between me and Willie, I'm the one who bought this. I got it right here.
Yeah, you're a sucker, man. You showed it to me for free. I didn't have to buy it.
It's pretty cool though. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I'm actually impressed because I wasn't expecting much out of it. It's like 100 pages.
Oh wow. Well, my
Yeah.
birthday's coming up, so maybe if
Hey,
you want to give me a birthday present, you can just send that one over.
yeah. I think dude, I bought it in a Rite Aid. They're everywhere.
Oh really? Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you had to order it or something. How much was it?
No, I bought it. I bought it in a Rite Aid. It was $10. It was in a Rite Aid.
$10? Okay.
It was hidden. It wasn't like on like the front, to like show it like like Rolling Stone and stuff. But it was hidden back there behind like Men's Health and everything. But I found it.
And did you go to Rite Aid with this purpose of like I want the Survivor magazine, or did you kind of just stumble upon it while you were looking at?
I was in running attire. I was in running attire, so I was like, oh, let me go in and get a Gatorade. But I had the intention was to buy this. I just didn't want to buy it alone, just that. So I made it look like I was real sweaty and dehydrated. So I bought a Gatorade
Okay.
with it.
Well
Yeah.
played. Well played. Okay. So they did one of the lists they did was the steamiest men and the steamiest chicks. We're not really going to hit on those that much. That's so subjective. It's not really about Survivor. I'm interested to see though. Why don't you bring up the hottest chicks? I don't really have an opinion on the dudes, but if you want to bring up the chicks.
I feel like we kind of have. Well, the dudes is first actually, and the only dude that I'm kind of shocked is in here. LJ McCannis was 4. I love LJ, but I don't know, man. He's not doing it for me.
I mean,
I'm shocked that he's number 4.
Yeah, I mean, like he's like people called him a Don Draper, right? And Don Draper is, I mean, John Hamm. People say he's like one of the sexiest men ever. So, I mean, that seems pretty in line with the thinking there.
I'm just like he was ahead of Hayden. He was ahead of Jay. Like that kind of surprised me a little bit. I don't know.
Jay.
Malcolm was number 1, so that's kind of funny.
I mean, yeah, I would assume Malcolm would be up there. But Jay from One World?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, like I said, can't really, have that strong opinion. I mean, I'm trying to think of like the best looking. Um,
Somehow Tyson wasn't on there. That bothers me. I got a
eh,
little bromance
what
with
about like
Tyson.
Ozzy?
He was number 3.
Okay.
Colby was 2. Colby
Because
had to be 2. You
steamiest
know.
doesn't necessarily mean best looking. Steamiest can mean like, I mean, that has a little bit to do with how they played the game. It's not just
Yeah,
like
but Chase Rice was number 10, and he didn't play the game steamy at all.
he got to the final three, didn't he? He got 3 votes, 1 vote away from $1 million. I
That
mean,
doesn't
that's
mean
pretty steamy.
that doesn't mean you're steaming. I don't know. I
Okay,
don't
all
know.
right. Let's move on to the. I'm actually curious now about the chicks list. You can hold it up to your camera too. If you want to show
Steamy's.
us.
Well, I don't want to show you because I want you to kind of guess. Who do you think was number 1 before I show you? Who do you think they would put at 1? Because I was shocked. I thought,
Who do I think they put at one?
yeah,
I want to. I mean, it's got to be Parvati, right?
that's what I would say. But she was
Just
2.
just because that's like Survivors, like that's their girl. They cannot leave Parvati hanging.
And she was number 2. She didn't even get number 1.
I mean, two's still pretty good. Okay, who? Let me think about number one. Um, just tell me. There's so many. I mean, there's so many.
Brenda.
Oh, I'm not even into Brenda.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I guess that's more on her gameplay than the way she looked. I mean, Brenda got way overrated in Caramoan because of the Dawn thing and all that stuff, and people felt bad for her and
I mean,
everything.
she was overrated in Nicaragua. Like people thought she was this
Yeah.
great player, and she was like scrambling is beneath me. Like I'm
Hmm.
above that, and then gets voted out. Like how is that impressive? Just because you like think you're above something? Like there are people who have scrambled and have not gotten voted out. Therefore, it's
Yeah.
pretty worthwhile to do.
Well, I
Even
mean,
if it doesn't work, it's like go down swinging. Like she was super overrated.
oh yeah, but I mean, I already have to apologize to Andrea, so I'm not going to say how I like anything else
Is
about
she is
Brenda.
she is she on
But
there?
Andrea's not on here. I was surprised
I
because
think
Andrew's
Andrew's
good
really cute.
looking.
I really like it. Yeah, I'm a fan of Andrea. We talked about this last time.
Well,
Let's see who
I'm
else.
just going to kind of. You want me to like just come back?
I'm gonna go. Is Jen Lyon on there?
What's up?
Is Jen Lyon on there? Palau.
No, no, she's
She,
not.
she was. I mean, she was. I think probably one of the hottest girls the show's had.
Yeah,
Let
there's
me.
not too much love from older seasons. The only
What
ones,
about like Sydney? Sydney from Token Teens.
she should have been number 1, and she wasn't even on it.
I mean, all right, just
Chelsea
rattle them
Meisner
off.
was 7 though.
Just rattle them off.
All right, 3 was Morgan from Cagayan. 4 was Amanda, which I never got the whole Amanda thing. I mean, Amanda was cool, but I don't know.
Well,
I was never the biggest.
she back-to-back final councils while being like a
Yeah,
pretty good-looking chick. So I mean, I can
yeah.
understand why.
5 was Whitney from South Pacific, who I don't know. I'm not a Whitney fan.
Yeah, I mean, very like okay.
6 was Candace, and honestly, you can make an argument for Candace to be number 1, considering like in Cook Islands. I mean, she was like making out with Adam and stuff. Like that was like the first time we saw stuff like that. Like that was funny.
Yeah, but Candace again. I mean, I guess is it steamiest or hottest? I think they just
It
mean
says
hottest,
steamiest.
but it is steamiest.
I
That's
don't
a
even
funny
know.
word. Yeah, like is Amber on there?
Yeah, she's number 10.
Okay. I mean, I think she should be higher up. Amber is a dime,
Well,
and she
Chelsea
won.
from One World was 7.
I mean, Amber won while making out the whole time, maybe even a little more. I mean, that's got to be steamy. I mean, she won while like being the most steamy, like the most legit relationship on Survivor has that they've ever had, besides the Blood versus Water. And then she won, and it was All Stars. Like, I mean, she's got to be
Yeah.
the steamiest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and then 9 was Elizabeth, which I'm happy Elizabeth's on there. I'm a huge Elizabeth fan. And then 8 was Amy Cusack, which I thought was cool that she got on there because I'm a
Yeah,
huge fan of Watu fan. I love Amy Cusack.
yeah. I'm down with Amy. I'm trying to think of some people they really left out here. Um, and I assume this is before San Juan del Sur. Not that they had like the the greatest
Yeah,
pool of hot
they don't
chicks.
talk about San Juan del Sur much at all in this book. They have they have like a page for every season. Then for San Juan del Sur, they have like a picture, but it's just kind of like a little blurb. They don't really talk about the season at all. So I guess like they hadn't gotten through the finish yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I see that. And it was such
They do
a
have a picture of
forgettable.
Natalie there though. It just doesn't like talk about the season at all. So
Yeah, it's like you ever like have a yearbook and you had to get all the yearbook stuff in like January or February when you didn't get the yearbook till like May, just because they have to,
yeah,
you know, to get it ready and stuff. So that's probably what happened
you
with
missed
San
all the
Juan
good
del
ones.
Sur. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so is that the you rounded out the list of the steamiest chicks?
yeah.
I know I'm forgetting some absolutely gorgeous people that aren't. Oh, how about Danny? Danny was a fox in Guatemala, and she won.
Okay. Here's another thing though. Jenna Maraska is not on there, which blows my mind because she won by being hot. She was so good at being attractive that she won Amazon, and she was kind of smart, but like she like blew those guys' minds away. Like Jenna knew what she was doing, and she got naked for chocolate and peanut butter. How's she not on there?
Yeah, that's true.
And of course, Courtney Yates should be number one, and she wasn't even on there, so that makes me mad.
Yeah, she's not steamy at all.
Don't argue with me. Not about Courtney.
I mean, I love Courtney as a
Courtney.
player, as a character. I love her confessionals. I like her game, but is she attractive? I mean, she's just too. I don't want to talk about her not being attractive, but like she does not deserve to be in the top 10 steamiest chicks of all time.
Come on, Courtney's a cutie. Courtney's the
Okay.
best.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm just looking.
let's move on
Let's
here.
move on. Get off those. Those are the ones that were in the middle of the book that they're like hoping you didn't see. Supposedly fans voted for this, but I don't think that if the fans voted on this, it must have been just like a clump of people who only watched like 10 seasons because like there's some weird stuff in here.
Yeah, I was not that impressed with these lists, to be honest. I mean,
No,
all right, which one do you want to do first?
I
Do you have
think we
any
should start with
just,
seasons because
seasons?
we already talked for 2.5 hours about seasons. So if anybody wants to listen to our seasons, we have 2 podcasts for seasons. If you want to
Yeah.
put them like right where my fingers are. But like we have 2 podcasts for seasons, and if you really, I mean, we get into them pretty good. So I think we should just kind of cover it and say like which ones just don't belong here at all. There's a lot of love for older seasons, and I'm a huge fan of that because I love the older seasons.
Yeah, you do. And I guess do you want to just go through them starting at 10 and we can all share our opinion?
Yeah, 10 at Cook Islands. I mean, we both had Cook Islands at 17 in our list, and then 17 it came out to be. So like Cook Islands is like a solid season. I mean, I'm kind of surprised it made the top 10. I'm not mad it made the top 10,
Yeah, I
but
mean it was a good season of Survivor. I think maybe the race thing they wanted to maybe
yeah.
remind us of that or kind of I mean I don't know about Cook Islands. It's good. I don't think it's a top 10 season.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I mean, there's a lot of seasons in here that we didn't have in our top 10, and that's one of them. Number 9, they had China. That's way underrated. I'm surprised. I thought the fans loved China.
I mean, look, this is a top 10 list. If it makes, I'm going to take these not even really so much the order. I'm just if they made it or not. And China was going to be in the top 10. If it's at 9, that doesn't really bother me all that much. Because, like we said,
Well, there's only one season ahead of it that makes me mad, like really mad. But
okay,
we'll get there in a sec.
okay,
Number 8, Amazon. That was our number 1 season when we did our
yeah,
poll.
that's still my
So,
favorite season. It always will be, I think. It's Butch with the
yeah,
firewood, Crazy Matt, Rob C, the hot
Christy.
chicks, Christy, Dina. I mean, that's such a
Yeah,
fun
it's just
season.
fantastic.
Okay. And then number
S-
7 is Borneo, and they had to put this in the top 10. I have no qualms. I mean, I know it's not a top 10 season for me, and we've talked about Borneo. It doesn't deserve the nostalgia factor. Does it deserve? I mean, it was going to be in the top 10, 100%. It's the first season. I'm not shocked at all.
Yeah, and I love Borneo. I can't help the nostalgia factor. That's just how I rank things sometimes. Like if it's there, it's there. It's like why do we like The Sandlot so much? Because we watched it years old. That's why we love it. Like you can't help it. So I feel like that's like what it is with Borneo. Like it's nostalgia. And I mean, I still love that cast so much. I go over that all the time. I mean, it had to be in the top 10. There was no way they were going with this list without having the first season in there.
Right. It just had to be. It was like whatever. Moving on.
And this next one is why I don't believe that the fans really did all of the polls here, because number 6 is All Stars, and I don't see anything really good about All Stars online. I thought that was considered like one of the biggest letdowns of the show. And All Stars isn't a bad season, but like to be in the top 10 and almost be the top 5, that kind of shocked me.
Yeah, I was that was the probably even more so than Cook Islands. I was shocked that All Stars made the top 10, and I like it. I had a great time watching All Stars. It was probably the most heated season, and we talk a lot about All Stars in our season rankings. But yeah, I'm pretty shocked that it made the top 10, and not only, like you said, it almost made top 5.
And here's like another thing, like, well, I guess are we gonna go into like which ones were surprised didn't make the top 10 at the end, or should I just do it now?
You can do it now. Who cares? Go for it.
What I'm thinking is Palau. I'm shocked Palau's not on here.
Yeah, I love Palau. I think I had that at 7 or something.
Yeah, and I don't think we had it in our top 10. I think it just missed our top 10. I think it got 11th. But like in terms of like fans and like what it did for the show, I'm just shocked that that one was out. That's not in their top 10, but All Stars and Cook Islands are. When I always thought Palau was like universally loved, that it just like did it not stand the test of time, and I just missed that. I don't really know.
What are you gonna do?
Nothing. I'm gonna keep reading the magazine.
Okay, so number 5 is Cagayan. And that's about right for it, I think. We had it at 3 or 2, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We both love this season. The fans love this season. It kind of has revived the new. I mean, I know we've only had one season after it, but it kind of, at least for me, really brought me back into like really loving the show.
Yeah, because without Cagayan, if we would have just had San Juan del Sur, and we didn't have Cagayan before it, I was getting mad.
Right.
Like I was starting.
Then Philippines is like the only worthwhile season out of like the 20s, pretty much. After Heroes vs. Villains, and I know you like Blood vs. Water. We talk about Blood vs. Water a lot. That's our probably biggest difference in those videos. But yeah, Cagayan fits nicely there. It's a great season.
Number 4 is Australia, and that's another one. I'm huge on Australia. That one was in my top 10. That one wasn't in your top 10, but I love Australia. That was a great like that. I mean, I just started watching some of that again, and it's just fantastic.
That cast,
man.
Yeah, the cast and just how, like you said this on the prior video, that they just keep coming back. Like we've had Colby, Tina, Jerry. They were in Heroes vs. Villains, and then Tina came back for Blood vs. Water. And
they've always wanted Elizabeth back.
Elizabeth, Amber is one of their Survivor sweethearts that made the whole Boston Rob Amber. Yeah, Scoopin just came back. I mean, it goes on and on. Alicia was an all-star because they didn't really have anybody to choose from. But well,
because a lot of people turned it down, really. But
all right, Micronesia at 3.
Yeah, and I expected Micronesia to be 1, 2, or 3. To be honest, the top 3 is exactly what I expected.
Right, I'm
not maybe in the order.
Not surprised at all.
Yeah, but this is the top 3 that I expected. I was surprised with everything before it a little bit, kind of where they placed. But the top 3 is exactly what I anticipated it being. This, if it was a fan poll, this is exactly what the fans, when they think of the show, they say Heroes vs. Villains, they say Micronesia, and they say Pearl Islands. Those are the 3.
And Heroes vs. Villains got number 1. Not surprising at all, like Phil said. And then Pearl Islands at number 2. We don't need to talk about the season anymore. We talked about it so much. If you want to hear us, our opinions on the seasons, they will. The videos will be right here, I think. The little boxes right there that
here.
You can watch. Yeah, you can watch part 1 and part 2.
When Phil and Will becomes like a multi-million-dollar franchise here, we're gonna get behind the scenes of how much we actually talked about Pearl Islands. That's gonna be like one of like the behind the scenes footage things. We've talked about Pearl Islands so much, Willie. I don't think I can do it anymore.
Yeah, no. We can't. Let's move on to a different list. I guess one more thing on the seasons. I'm kind of surprised Gabon and Tocantins aren't on here, just because I think they were really well received seasons by the fans.
Hmm.
But there's only 10 that they could put in here, so I guess it's
Yeah.
not that shocking.
Yeah, the only shockers really for me were Cook Islands and All Stars. I never realized Cook Islands was that loved. And All Stars, I mean, I don't know. Maybe because it was All Stars, like I
Yeah,
don't know.
the two all returning playing like here's the Thrill and All Stars. Two times it's ever happened. They both land in the top 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so do you
Hey,
want to take a we'll take a break from the magazine, and I'll start revealing the communal boot list order. How about that?
I think that's cool. I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Let's see here. Who do you think is 18th on the communal boot list?
I would say Nina.
Hold on, my computer is very slow right now.
Oh,
It is
perfect.
not Nina. It is Lindsay.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, it was Lindsay or Nina. Okay, I forgot Lindsay was there. Lindsay only, I think, had like one top 10, right? Like, she's really not, like,
Yeah,
maybe more than one, but
yeah, Lindsay. It was pretty handled. She was getting just 17s, 18s, um, just left and right. And then what we also did was we looked at so her average placement was 14.27, and then um, her median. Do you know what the median is, Phil? Do you remember what a median is?
yeah, median's the middle number.
Right. Okay.
Put them all in order. It's the middle one.
Right. Median's 15, and then the mode. Do you remember the mode is, Phil?
That was the most. That's got to be 17, right?
Yeah, 17 was Lindsay's most common placement. And yeah, she's bringing up the rear there. And then,
So,
like you said, Nina, unless you want to talk about Lindsay at all.
well, I just kind of wanted to say that for anybody who's still listening to our podcast, now you're getting to learn math with Phil and Will. So we're not just Survivor. We're not one-trick ponies. We're teaching math. So make your kids listen. They'll learn something here.
Great, great. Yeah, totally. Okay,
Couldn't help it. The fact that
right.
you went over the mean median mode with me. Um,
Well, I just had to make sure you knew you knew what it was. You didn't forget because I mean most people don't remember everything they learned from math class. Okay, anyway, on to number 17 in the boot list, the communal boot list is Nina, and she was really close to Lindsay. Lindsay was average 14.27, Nina averaged 14.08, so just like 2/10 of a placement, pretty much, or a placement and a half, separated those two. And Nina has I'm gonna pull up her mode. I think the mode is pretty interesting. It tells you how, like, I don't know, her mode was 18. So while Lindsay had a mode of 17 and Nina had a mode of 18, their places kind of flopped. More people believe Nina would go farther, while pretty much
yeah,
everyone, you know,
and
Lindsay,
I said Nina would be last. I figured Nina would be last because I thought she was coming in. I kept seeing her at 18. That's kind of why I thought of it.
yeah, she was 18 the most, but for Lindsay, the people who didn't have her at 17 and 18 had her at like 15, 16, 13. For Nina, she actually got deep in some of these rankings. I think she got third place once, maybe fourth. I mean, she just overall did better, but not by much. Okay, and then
What were the medians and modes on them again? I'm writing this down because I want to have this because this is kind of interesting actually. I kind of to see
well, I'm not
like
gonna.
how wrong we could be as a community of
Well, I
bootless.
can I can send you the document later, but all the modes. Well, the modes are more interesting, I think, than medians because the medians are so close to the averages.
Yeah.
So, and another word for average is mean. That's another lesson. So yeah, Lindsay's mode was 17 and Nina's was 18, but their places are reversed.
It's cool.
Okay, we'll do one more here before we get back in the magazine. Do you have a guess?
Who is 16?
Yep.
For some reason, I'm thinking it's either Carolyn or Tyler.
Okay, you are wrong. It is Dan. He averaged
Really?
average
Wow.
placement was 11.9, and Dan, let's check out his mode here. Dan, he 13 was the mode. That was his most placement, which is pretty close to 11.9, and his median was also 13. So, yeah, Dan kind of floating pretty high up there.
Well, I think it's kind of funny how far ahead he was though of Nina and Lindsay. Like Lindsay and Nina were clearly they're clearly the underdogs here. So if they go far, like a lot of people are going to be wrong. Like they're going to be a lot of points out there.
It would be like an upset in like March Madness. If like a 15 seed or a 14 seed win and go far, it can really mess up people's brackets. If Lindsay and Nina are sitting there at Final Tribal Council, it will mess up a lot of these boot lists.
Yeah.
Okay, let's return to the magazine. That's enough math for one, all at once.
Yeah, because math is boring, but so we only do small increments.
Not always. Math can be fun.
Well, right now.
We're trying to teach lessons, I thought, about math. Math can totally be fun.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yes. Do you want to do challenges?
Sure.
I figure we should save cats for last, I feel like, because that one we could probably talk the most about a little bit. So I'm thinking like
sure.
Challenges, I don't even remember half of these.
Like I guess we can just go through the list here. I mean, do we even need to talk about challenges? Maybe we don't need to talk about that. I think maybe Steamiest Chicks is actually more interesting than this.
I mean, my only thing with challenges is when you look at this list, how was the first challenge from Heroes versus Villains not on here? How? Seriously, how?
The thing is, that's what about challenges. I've seen Heroes versus Villains, I think like 3 times, and I don't even remember the challenge that you're talking about.
Okay. I'm going to set this for you because I'm pretty sure this is how Jeff Probst would explain it if he described Heroes versus Villains.
As soon as you mention it, I'm going to remember it, and we'll come back to it. Yeah, but I can't like sit here and say that was the first challenge.
I have to make it dramatic though, because seriously, I'm shocked that's not on here. The helicopters come in, they all land, they go stand on their 2 mats, and Jeff says, "Hey, we're doing a challenge right now for reward." It was the one where they had to race out to each like area and dig up the bag, and it was when Coach rode Colby all the way to the end, and when Sugar got her bra taken off by Sandra, Rupert broke his toe, Stephanie dislocated her shoulder. Like, that challenge was insane. And it was day 1, like 10 minutes on the beach.
Yeah.
And there's 2 things from Heroes versus, or there's 1 thing from Heroes versus Villains here. And it was amazed that they did that. I didn't even remember they did, and I watched the season a month ago. But they didn't have that first challenge, which really kind of shocked me.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't even need to go through this. I mean, if you're really interested, I guess pick up the magazine. It's only $10. Because I could say the name. I could say the name. Right, the buoy. We'll talk about the buoy challenge, but I could say the names of these challenges, and you're like, I'm just gonna name one: self-destruction. Like you have who knows what that is? Paddle battle, kicking and screaming, blind maze.
Sumo at sea was cool though, because that's the sumo wrestling one where they push.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Cagayan challenge when Cass came back, that was an awesome.
That was awesome,
and that's not on here. I don't know why that's not on here. But again, that was recent. That's probably why I'm remembering it. There have been, so many great challenges. They do two per episode pretty much over, 29 seasons. It's hard to kind of sort through them.
What I like that's on here is the only one that I really was like very happy to see, because I think it's probably still the most brutal challenge they've ever done on the whole show, is the Thailand Final Immunity Challenge, where they were standing there doing that pose with the coins between their fingers. That challenge was brutal, and that was number 8 on this list, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that one. I do remember that. That was one of the few hours I actually remembered. And then the buoy one in Palau, it lasted 14 hours. Ian stepped off. I have no problem with this being the number 1 challenge ever. I mean, it probably is. It lasted the longest. It had huge implications. It decided the final 2 without even going to the tribal council.
Yeah. And I mean, I think everybody remembers how long that was. And even like in here, Jeff talks about like how like long that went on for, and they could not believe that it went on for that long. Like it was that's so ridiculous, that challenge. That was incredible.
I think the thing was, it was just so easy. Like, I'm not saying that I could go do that and I want to go do that, sit on a buoy for 14 hours, but I think it was physically not as difficult as a lot of the endurance challenges that we see, because the foothold was pretty. You can see in the picture, it's pretty wide foothold, and you're up there. It's like, I think it's more mentally draining. And I
Yeah.
think that's
And you
what
had two
that's
of the
what.
mentally tough, like two of like the most mentally tough people they've had on the show with Tom and Ian. I mean, Tom was the challenge beast. Tom was good at everything. I mean, Tom was the man. In that season at least.
Yeah, well, Ian, I think that's what got to him. He's literally on there for 14 hours, kind of thinking about the votes and what he did.
Mhm.
And Tom had made him feel so bad earlier, and he
Yeah.
just like resigned out of nowhere. It was, I mean, when he did that, I was shocked. That was the best challenge. So they got this one right.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even remember what Ian did wrong in Palau. I just remember that was like the big deal. But I don't even think he did anything wrong. I think he still
I
probably would
can
have.
I,
I don't know if
I
he
can
would have
tell you
beaten
what he did wrong.
Tom, but he would have beaten Katie. What's up?
I can tell you what he did wrong. This is what he did wrong. So Tom, or Ian won immunity, I think the last time, and he said something to Tom like, "We're still good, right?" And wait, no. I think Tom won immunity, and Ian's like, "We're still good." And then Tom's like, "Yeah, of course." And then Ian said something like, "And if it was flipped around and I had immunity, it'd be a tough decision." And then Tom was like, "What? I thought we were in it to the end." Tom's like, he had a confessional. I'm starting to think if Ian had won and I didn't, he would have voted me out. He really made Ian feel bad about that, like way worse than he should have. It's pretty reasonable to think
Yeah.
that you would get rid of
It's
Tom.
the. It was the Steven JT thing where it was like, "Are you going to take Aaron?" I don't know. I might take Aaron, and like there was just so much paranoia going on there where it's like, come on, man, like. Except like in that one, they didn't make each other feel bad about it. This one, yeah. I mean, Tom completely used that against Ian, and I really don't feel like there was any reason to. That was like Tom being a baby. Even though I
What
love
do you mean
Tom, he was
any
being a
reason
baby.
to? What do you mean any reason to? There's total reason to. He got him to drop out of the challenge. It was masterful
Oh
by
yeah,
him.
well, I mean, it worked. It worked, but I mean,
I mean,
maybe
that was the
Ian's not as
reason.
mentally tough as I thought he was.
I
Yeah.
mean, 14 hours on a
Oh,
buoy. That'll do it to you.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna get back into unless you have anything more on challenges.
No, challenges suck. I agree. We shouldn't have gone over that one.
Okay. Well, yeah,
There's just like so many that it's hard to keep track.
it's Palau, that was a great challenge. Okay, we're gonna get back to the
Yeah.
communal boot list here. We've compiled, all the entries into one boot list using the averages. So it was 18th place Lindsay, 17th place Nina, 16th place Dan, and now at 15th place. Who do you got, Phil?
Tyler.
No, you would be wrong again. Joaquin coming in at 15th place, and his average placement was 11.6. And if you remember, Dan's was 11.9. So it was real close there.
Yeah, I mean, I think for some reason I thought Joaquin started to get some love towards the end, where people like want him to be the villain on the season, so they started pushing him further up, like fifth place, sixth place. I don't even know. I thought Joaquin was on a lot of people's top tens. I guess I'm wrong, huh?
His mode was 15, so he got 15th place the most.
So I'm completely wrong.
Yeah, you were completely wrong. But yeah.
Yeah.
Next, who do you think's next? 14th place. I'll give you a hint. It's
Will.
not Tyler. Okay, there you
It's
go.
Will.
Will.
'Cause that's the
is
one I
at-
did.
Will. Oh, that's right.
That's
You
the one
did?
I did.
Right. Okay, so yeah, Will is at 11.54 average placement, and his mode is 16. So his mode was worse than Joaquin's. Yeah, people aren't big on Will or Joaquin really.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next in 13th place is in fact Tyler. The thing about Tyler though is his mode is 18th place. That's the thing he got the most was last. He's the most. I don't know if he's the most common first boot. I don't think he's higher than Nina or Lindsay, but out of his rankings, he got first boot the most times.
That's crazy. And he still ends up 13th. So I was right when I kept saying his name because I knew he was at the back a lot. Like, I can't believe how many people think he's going to be the first boot.
He's first boot a ton. I wish I had the number. I don't. But it's his median is 11, and his average is 10.88. So, yeah, that's pretty interesting. So, yeah,
That
that's
is pretty
13th
interesting.
place. That's the quick math intro segment. We can only do 3 names at a time before we get restless. So what's the next one? Do you want to do moments or do you want to do cast?
We got a lot to say about both. I like. Well, I don't know how much we're going to say about.
Cast. Let's do cast.
Because moments is actually going to be kind of ridiculous. We have a little anger in the moments, so let's do cast.
Okay, cast. The thing about the cast in the top 10, there are people that you have to put on this list no matter what, and you can disagree with me. Boston Rob was going to be on this list no matter what, right?
Well, here's what I want to say about this list. I don't feel like this might not be the best players of all time, but if you were going to make a season, I almost feel like these are the people that you would go to first. Where if you're going to make a season, you say we got to bring back a player, first person you're going to call up is Boston Rob. That's just how it's going to be. And I'm not the biggest Boston Rob fan. I don't think he's the best player. But I do think that he is like he's the most iconic person on the show, other than maybe Rupert.
We're assuming that like he hasn't played 4 times. Like we're not saying we want to see him again, but let's just the best cast. He's a good cast member.
Yeah. He's overrated. He's not the best player to ever play.
But whether you like him or not, Boston Rob was going to be on here always. He got number 1. Russell was definitely going to be on here. No matter what you think about Russell, he's one of the most polarizing people to ever play. He was definitely going to be on here. Rob C at number 3, I think he was obviously going to be on here. He's a huge fan favorite. He was the first one to be called the best player to never win. He was going to be on here. Parvati at 4, she was going to be on here. What I'm saying is that there wasn't much creative wiggle room here for this list. I know it was voted in, but it's like everyone so far has had to be on this list. You couldn't say none of those people weren't going to be on here.
What shocks me is that Ozzy's on it, because Ozzy never won. He lost to Yule, who's behind him. Ozzy, I was kind of surprised to see on there. I feel like Ozzy's a good player. I don't feel like he's as social as he needed to be. I don't feel like he's not that good of a social player. The thing is, Russell's not that good of a social player either, but he was going to be on this list. People remember him. He has a lot of people like Russell. They like to watch him suck. They like to watch.
To clarify, Ozzy is at number 5. But I'm not surprised he's on here. I mean, he's played 3 times. He got to the finals in his first season. His second season, he was in a pretty powerful alliance. He did okay. He got blindsided with an idol. And then in South Pacific, he wasn't probably the most fun, but he was such a kind of iconic character in Cook Islands that I'm not at all surprised to see Ozzy. And I feel like he is one of the players that you're going to say, okay, yeah, he's going to be a top 10 cast member.
And my whole thing with this is we might have to do like a top 10 cast at one point just to kind of see where we stand on it, because I really don't know where you stand in terms of like who you think the best players are.
Yeah.
I'm shocked there's only 3 women on here. It surprises me that there's only 3 women on here. Parvati, Sandra, Sari. And like I knew Sandra and Parvati were going to be on here.
I'm a little shocked that Sari was going to be there too. Like I knew
Sari was going to be there, but I'm surprised that if there's only 3 women, I'm surprised that Sari was the 3rd one. I don't know who I thought would have been there ahead of her, but I'm surprised that Sari was 3. Like she's the number 10 person on the list. But I'm just kind of surprised that I don't know. I don't know who I would have put ahead of her, but I'm kind of surprised.
See, Sari doesn't shock me at all. Sandra, she's won twice, obviously. They had to include her. So what I'm getting at is they had to include, so far, if I'm going to go like Rob, Russell, Rob C, Parvati, Ozzy, Sandra's at 6, then Sari is at 10. Now that is 7 of the 10 already. And I would say those people, without even, if I had to guess, like those people were going to be on this list. And then the 3 people who I think kind of floated in, or you could make cases for. They have Yule at 9, Tony at 8, and Cochran at 7.
And to be honest with you, that's why I didn't mention them when we were kind of going through, like when you were kind of doing that thing. Those 3, 2 out of those 3 people, I think, are 2 of the best players to ever play the game. Tony and Yule. I feel the game in the long run, people are gonna look at that and be like, that's one of the most impressive games ever. Yule's game has stood the test of time. I mean, he beat Ozzy, who's ahead of him on this list. He beat him in a final 3, 5-4, which means, in my book, Yule's a better player than Ozzy because he got the votes over the guy. You know what I mean? Rob Cesternino gets 3rd place. I'm not going to say Jenna Maraska is a better player than Rob Cesternino because Jenna Maraska didn't beat Rob Cesternino head-to-head. She voted him out, was smart enough to get rid of him. With Yule and Ozzy, Yule beat Ozzy. Like, he sat down and beat him, which makes him a better player than Ozzy. Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, JT is better than Steven because JT beat Steven head-to-head. In terms of Survivor, that's just how I look at it.
Right. But this isn't all-time best players. This is all-time greatest cast. And that's why I'm surprised Yule is in here, because he is a great player, but was he the most exciting? I don't know. I think Yule was the biggest surprise to me to see on this list. Cochran doesn't surprise me that much. I mean, if he wasn't on here, I wouldn't be surprised, but seeing him on here, it's like, yeah, I mean, Survivor, loves Cochran. And then Tony, yeah, he played an awesome game. If I were to put someone on like ahead, like I would say Kim, maybe, because she played one of the most dominating games. If they wanted to even, or Denise, Kim or Denise, to even out this list and not maybe have 5 females, 5 males.
To be honest with you, I don't think Malcolm's one of the top 10, but I'm surprised that somebody like Malcolm didn't get on here over Yule, just because people love Malcolm, or even Rupert, something like that, because everybody remembers Rupert still. So
I was going to say Rupert. Yeah, Rupert, I would say, is that's the biggest shock that Rupert did not even make the top 10 here. And then
Cook Islands got a lot of love. Whatever fans voted in these polls, they loved Cook Islands. They adore Cook Islands because Cook Islands got a lot of love. There's 3 people from Cook Islands in here. On the steamiest thing, there were people from Cook Islands all over, and then Cook Islands gets in the top 10, and then there was a challenge from Cook Islands in the challenges thing. Cook Islands got a lot of love.
Yeah.
Yeah, there might have been. Cook Islands got a lot of love.
Wow, you're onto something there, Phil.
Yeah, maybe Penner stood there and he voted for all this. Penner rigged this book. Jonathan Penner rigged it.
There's a problem with your theory, though. Why isn't he in the top 10?
Because he doesn't want to make it obvious. He's too smart.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Penner's too smart.
But he's played on 2 other seasons, and you would think maybe give some Philippines some love. I don't see any really Philippines love on here.
A lot of Micronesia love, though.
All right, we can move on from the cast unless you have anything else.
No, I mean, I think that would be a good podcast for us to do in the future, like our top 10 cast or something, even top 20, because I feel like in terms of best people, not like best cast, because I feel like that debate for who the best player is always an interesting one, and there's always different reasons for everyone. I'm not a huge Parvati fan in terms of her game. I'm not a huge Boston Rob fan in terms of his game, but it's hard to argue that they don't belong at least somewhere up there. So I think that would be kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it will be. Good thing we have season 30 starting next week, though, so we don't have to worry about the off-season podcast topics for a while.
Because it got brutal. This is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
This right here.
Okay.
Let's give another math lesson.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even math at this point. I don't really need to go. I don't think we need to go through the mode of each one. I'm just going to go through the list here. I'm just going to kill it. That's okay with you.
No, kill it.
Okay. So we have Tyler at 13th place.
Wait, maybe actually give the mode at one point, say the mode, but we don't have to dwell on the characters because we talked about these guys enough. Let's see if there's any shockers in here, though.
Okay. The problem is I have the list and the mode on a separate document, so that's, it takes me a while.
So I'm making things difficult for you.
Right. Okay. So Rodney's mode was 11, and he got 12th place, so he's pretty close there. Carolyn is at 11th place, and her mode was 3, which is interesting. And her median was 3 too. No, her median was 11 and a half. No, her median was 11 and a half. That was a mistake. But yeah, 3 was her mode. A lot of people had her at 3rd place.
Wow.
So maybe that's the middle-aged lady final 3 appearance.
So we're not getting any more averages here.
Average was 10.7 for Carolyn. For Rodney was 10.86, and Tyler was.
So Rodney and Tyler were.
Yeah, they were really close. And then
Carolyn,
Tyler, and Rodney within a 10th of a placement. So
yeah.
And then Haley was at 10th place with 9.56 average, so she's half a placement, maybe a placement within those guys. Her mode was 13. Mike is a little bit more separated from Haley. In 9th place, he averaged 8.18. Mike.
I like watching you struggle through this right now. This makes me happy.
10, his mode was 10. Kelly, her mode, Kelly 8th place, average 8.09. She was, probably the closest to her actual placement there, 8.09, 8th place. Her mode
Mhm.
was 17 though.
Wow, that doesn't even make sense. Her and Carolyn don't make sense.
They really don't. I mean, it's that's why I like the mode. The mode is cool where people had the most. Yeah, a lot of people
What
have her
does the
going out second. What's that?
what's the mode mean? This is a pop quiz here. See, gotta make
Oh, the
sure they're
mode
paying
is
attention.
is the most frequent um, number in a set of list of numbers, or it doesn't have to be numbers. You have a list of colors, and the mode could be red if red's the most common.
Yeah, I just want to make sure everybody remembers. So we
Right.
only told them like a half hour ago. Anyway, seventh.
7th is Shireen, and we've been saying Shireen this whole time. It's Shireen.
Yeah, I learned that when I watched Jeff Probst's cast assessment. Did you
Exactly.
watch that?
Yeah, that's
He was
what.
like Shireen, and I was like, Jeff, you're saying it wrong. Don't do that. You're saying it wrong.
So yeah, it's Shireen. We've been saying it around the
Just
whole
leave it
time.
wrong.
And her average was
I'm
eight
gonna call her
point
Shirin.
oh her average was 8.04, and Kelly's was 8.09. So they were really close. And
Yeah.
then So at 6th place was at 8.01. So those three, Kelly, Shireen, So, are all really close.
And Mike. Mike was at 8.18. That's all within 2/10.
Yeah. Well, that's what
That's
happens.
cool.
We have 70 entries here. So
That's still kind of
Shireen's mode was first place. A lot of people had Shireen winning. I don't think she's the most frequent winner, but
cool.
for Shireen, that was her most common placement, was first place. And then Shireen, sorry. And then
It's never gonna stop.
and then So's mode was 15. So though she averaged, 8, her mode was 15. And then Vince averaged 7.1. So there's a little separation there, almost a whole placement there. And Vince's mode was 10. Nothing really interesting there. Sierra at 4th place averaged 7.42.
Wait, 7.42. That's worse than Vince. Vince was 7.1.
You're right. You're right. I don't know how that happened. You're right. Okay, so Sierra is at 5th place. Vince is at 4th place, and Sierra's mode. I think Sierra's mode was 6. And Sierra was like a 3 pretty often also. So people think pretty highly of Sierra. So you're not the
Sierra's
only
getting a
one.
lot of. Sierra's like a kind of surprising one because I think people are so used to seeing the type of person that is Sierra on the show, but she's so much more interesting than the typical girl that looks like her on the show right now. Like pregame, she's so much more interesting because she's a barrel racer instead of just being a model. And I don't know, she probably was a model, but like it's more interesting because there's more. It almost feels like there's more depth to her right now, and people are liking that a lot.
Yeah, her interview was good too. So, and she seems like
Yeah, it
she's a
was.
blue collar, like she could rough it outdoors.
Mhm.
So, yeah, she's getting a level
Jen,
up.
Joe, and Max, huh?
In that order, actually.
No
Um,
way.
yeah, Jen at number, 3rd place, average 6.95, and her mode was 2. So Jen most frequently was the runner-up, and then Joe, Joe. His average was 6.58, so they were pretty close, about a little less than half a placement away from each other. And Joe's mode was 9. Guess that's where people had Joe the most, and this was no surprise.
Pre-merge boot or merge boot.
This is no surprise. Max, it was not even close. His average placement was 4.76.
Wow.
Yeah, and his mode was 4. I think he actually is number one the most. Because it's just so he was 1, 2, 3, and 4 were probably like his top ones. So yeah, his mode was 4. His oh wait, no, his mode was 1. I was reading someone else's mode. His mode was 1 max. So a lot of people have him winning this.
Yeah,
So
now you're.
that's the boot list there.
Yeah, so you go. That's what we all came up with. Now, we're probably gonna get more entries, so you're gonna have to do these stats every single week. So Have fun.
No, it's a formula on Excel, so it's not. I can just enter
Uh,
one. It'll add to it, so it's not too tough. But someone made a website. One of the subscribers made like a leaderboard website for the list game, and it's not totally ready yet. I don't know if we will use it or it will be ready, but thank you. Forget the username. So far, he just has Phil and I's entries in there, but we're gonna try to maybe figure out how to get everyone's entries in there and have like an online leaderboard that scores it. And he even has a feature where you can like drag players to make like a predicted loot list and then see how you do. So it's pretty cool.
yeah,
Okay.
that was cool. Whoever did that, thanks. That was cool. Hopefully, we can figure that out and get it for everyone because that would be awesome.
Yeah, it really would be. Then we would have to deal with Excel.
Yeah.
It's way more interactive. So yeah, let's run down these moments here.
I'm just gonna like, it's just anger. When I saw number 10 was the grandma lie, I was like, really? I guess it's not anger because I don't care about this list, but really, number 10.
This is like, I can't think of a moment better than the grandma one. That should be number one, hands down. Like nothing even remotely comes close.
But somehow there were 9 moments better than it, and what blows my mind is none of them were chocolate and peanut butter. And if you think of 3 things that have happened on the show of Survivor that people walking down the street could say, oh, that was from that show. The grandma lie, the guy falling in the fire, and getting naked for chocolate and peanut butter. Those are the 3 most iconic moments. One of them is not even on the list. The other 2 are 10 and 9.
Yeah, I don't, these moments, I don't know how they were even nominated or how they were, but I'm at a loss for words pretty much with the moments here. So yeah, grandma lie was at number 10. Scoop and fall in the fire was at 9. 8 was Parvati's double idol play in Heroes vs. Villains.
Which is cool. I mean, that one's memorable. That was a really great move. But, like, better than those 2? Like, are you kidding me?
No, yeah.
Number 7
I don't think it should be ahead of Scoop and Johnny Fairplay, but I think that's a deserving moment for the list. That was a good moment, and Heroes vs. Villains gets so much love that I'm not shocked to see that on here. I'm pretty okay with that one. And then number 7, man, you can take number 7.
I don't even know if I with a straight face because it's the most delusional castaway ever. Saying that he was being compared to Richard Hatch on the streets when he could barely do anything. Troyzan's Island was number 7. Him yelling, "This is my island, you can't beat me." That would have been a great moment if he pulled a Chris and won the game, but he didn't win the game, so it was a complete... How is that better than anything? How's that even on here?
I cannot believe that One World even had a moment make this list. Like, One World is such a terrible, terrible season.
If you were going to put a moment from One World, it would be the guys giving up immunity to go to Tribal Council. Because that was more memorable. Troyzan's Island, I don't even know what the hell that means. I remember thinking, oh my god, this guy is such an idiot right now. There's no way he's ever going to win the game. Like,
my favorite moment from One World is when Kat didn't know what an appendix was or appendicitis. And then
that was funny.
And they mentioned that, like Colton, they thought that's what he had. And someone's like, yeah, I've had that before. That's really painful. And she was just like, what is this? Like, am I going to get appendicitis? Like, she was so scared. That would be my favorite moment from One World. Doesn't even make the top 50 moments in Survivor history. No. So having Troyzan on this list, it's laughable.
I'm just going to put it in perspective every single time. That was ahead of the grandma line, ahead of Scoop and falling in the fire. And because the peanut butter and chocolate thing wasn't even on the list, it was ahead of that too. So it was ahead of the 3 most iconic things ever.
Right. And it was ahead of Parvati's double idol play, which I'm still, that's still better than most of the things on here. Okay.
And now, number 6 you can take because it embarrasses me that this is on here because it's just stupid. Like this one was dumb. This was just stupid. I don't even know.
This whole list was dumb. I can't believe this is a moment. Like, I don't even. It's called 6, ending the Boston curse. This is Redemption Island finale, and it's just Rob winning.
Rob won. Okay.
Like that's it. Like, it's Rob winning Survivor on his 4th try. Like, that is one of the best moments in the show's history. I mean, maybe if you're Jeff Probst, maybe if you're Jeff and you just love Rob, I mean, that could be great for you. This is not anywhere close. I mean, I would even argue that Troyzan saying this is my island is better than simply Rob just winning in 4 tries.
Why is Boston Rob's win better than anybody else's? Why is his win better than anybody?
Not only is it not,
it took him 4 tries.
Right. Not only is it not better than anyone else's, it's like the worst win ever because no one has won on their 4th try. Like,
where's the ending the Utah bicyclist curse and have Tyson on there with his hands up because he won on his 3rd try, or like ending, whoever else took.
What about Sophie? What about Sophie's win? She won on her 1st try. No love. Not that I love Sophie or anything, but like any other win is better than Rob's win. This is terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Number 5 I'm okay with because this one's not bad. And I feel like they worded it wrong in the list. That's my problem with it. I think they meant to do the Snakes and Rats speech. They put it as the original Sole Survivor when Richard won, which, I mean, I guess would be – that's probably the most prominent win because it was the first one. But at the same time, I feel like they meant the Snakes and Rats speech. That's what I'm going to look at this as and forgive it.
I don't think they did. I think it's Richard's win. It's Richard winning. It's the original Sole Survivor. And this is something that I think should definitely be in the list. It's the first player to ever win. But this is like that thing. It's like if you're making a list, you put this one at 10 because you have to put it in. But it's not so much a moment as just like, like in Sports Center, like someone can have a really cool play, and that should be number 1. It's like the craziest play ever. But then like they'll put like a no-hitter at number 1 because it's like there wasn't one play. It was just like they just achieved something really cool. Really special. The no-hitter, like you just watch him strike out a bunch of guys for like the top play.
And it's like when and it's like I don't know, like I'm not saying that this isn't a good thing. Like this type of stuff should be on SportsCenter, but like when that one kid, I think he had autism or something, when he was playing against like the whole football team and he scored the touchdown, and that was like the best of the best for like weeks. Like, yeah, that's something that should be on there, but like it's not like the best play. It's a great, like, yeah, in here this is moments, so that's like a great moment, but like it's only a moment. Like that's all it is. It shouldn't be better than, the greatest, like, really the greatest moments of Grandma life. This one's necessary.
Like there's things that you have to put on the list, just like in the SportsCenter top 10s. Like when the WNBA championship, it's a top 10. They won the championship. Give them credit. Put it at number 10. This, Richard Hatch wins the first Survivor. I get it. It was the first one. Just put it at 10. Give us our 9 moments, because these wins aren't so much moments. I mean, this is at least better than the Boston Rob thing, which I still don't understand. Okay. Now you can take this one because number 4.
I watched Marquesas maybe 3 years ago, and I was like, oh man, that season was better the second time, like watching it. It was like it wasn't the best cast, but it was pretty entertaining. I still do not know what the hell they're talking about with this. I don't know what this is. John Carroll goes coconuts.
This is the fall of John Carroll. It's the fall of John Carroll. That's what they should call the moment. I'm trying to like talk about something other than it's just like John being in control and being the leader, and then he isn't the leader, he isn't in control, and then gets voted out. Okay. And I don't know if that's a moment. I don't know why it's number 4 on this list. I think they were just like, we haven't given Marquesas any love. That was Boston Rob's first season. Let's take this moment.
There's one season that they gave no love that completely deserves this spot more, and I'm like getting teary-eyed here because this. I really can't remember this. I have no idea. I remember John Carroll getting screwed over by Sean, Vecepia, Pascal, Nalia, Kathy. Great move, all that. You go up to somebody and you say, John Carroll got screwed over. They're like, who the hell is John Carroll? Do you remember Survivor Marquesas? And they're like, no, probably not. The one with Boston Rob. Oh, yeah. Where is the twist in Survivor Africa if you're going to put something like this in there? When Silas and Frank and T-Bird walked up there, the first time the show ever had a twist, Africa got no love in here, and Africa, that moment in Africa is seriously one of the better moments. I still think that's one of the best moments because that changed the game forever. This did nothing.
The first tribe swap.
This did nothing.
Right. It was the first tribe swap, just to be clear if you didn't know what Phil was talking about. The tribe swap, that should be here totally, way more than these other things. And we'll get to the list as we go. But we only have 3 more, but I can think of like so many more great moments that aren't on here. So number 3, a tribe of one, and this is when Stephanie is alone on the Oolong tribe, and yeah, I mean it's the first time it ever happened. It's interesting. I get it. Like I said, this is something like Richard Hatch's win, the first win. Put this at 9. Put this at 10. It's special. Yeah. It's cool. I guess it's important, but why is it at 3? It's not like the third greatest moment ever.
No,
it just isn't. Do you have anything else to say on that?
I just feel like at that point, sometimes some people are even bored with Palau because they had seen the same tribe like go to tribal every time, and they kind of wanted to see the other tribe do something. And like Stephanie goes back to tribal, and everybody was like, "Oh, this is cool. What's going to happen?" But like, yeah, people remember Stephanie being on a tribe of one, but like the grandma lie. The chocolate and peanut butter led to 2 girls being naked on the cover of Playboy. Mike Scoopin fell in a fire. A tribe of one. Like what?
Richard Hatch caught and then bit a shark.
So did Tom Westman.
Scoopin killed a pig.
Like, I would even take the Alicia finger wag at Kimmy Kappenberg when she does "I will always wave my finger in your face." Like, I would take that over this. Like, come on.
I would take Crystal Cox saying "Eat your rice."
Yeah. Even the sugar thing with the cookies. That was better if we're going through this. I mean, a week ago, Coach and his little drama at Exile Island when he didn't eat for 3 days, according to Coach. Like, Tyson voting himself out. JT giving the note to freaking Russell. Like, my God.
Scoopin killing a pig? Did I say that already?
You said that, but it needed to be said again because
I mean, that was cool. He killed a pig. Like, he killed a pig and they ate it. Like, that's Survivor.
I mean, even if they had Janu going to Exile Island as the first person to ever go to Exile Island, that would have been cool. Gary Hogaboom playing the first ever Idol. You could have put all that on here. Why is John Carroll going coconuts on here? Okay. Why is Troy...
Phil,
like, I'm just...
Phil, settle down. Settle down. We still have 2 more on the moments list. Now it's Micronesia,
the next one,
episode 10. Ozzy gets blindsided. And this is, I mean, why isn't this the Eric blindside?
Well, what makes me laugh here is they say it's the Ozzy blindside, but the picture is after Eric's blindside. So what? It's Natalie with the necklace on after it was given to her by Eric, and they had just voted Eric off.
I mean, that's the way bigger moment. Because they convinced someone to give up immunity and then voted them off.
He handed them the immunity idol. Like, how is that not on? Troy Sands Island is on here over that. Oh my God, man. This is such a brutal top 10. I don't even know if this page needs to just be ripped out. What's on the other side? You got a picture of Exile Island and a picture of Yule sprinting. I might just rip these pages out and pretend it never happened.
Do we even want to say?
They show a picture of Eric's blindside.
Do we even want to say what number 1 is? We have to.
Oh my God! You know what it is? As soon as this booklet came out, people started posting the top 10s on Reddit and stuff. And, like, I started seeing them, and I was like, "Oh, top 10 moments." And when they did it, and I saw this, I was just like I don't even know like why that's a thing.
Podcast is what you thought.
I didn't even think that because I was like, wait, like that happened. Like, I remember that happening, but like, cool.
Okay, so number one is Sandra throwing Russell's hat in the fire before the final tribal council of heroes versus villains. And I kind of get this one. It's at least a moment, like a one thing, and it's pretty unique. I don't think someone's thrown someone's clothes in the fire. I mean, maybe someone has. I think Russell burned Jason's socks. But
didn't Russell do it first?
Yeah, but this is before final tribal council. This is before, like, you want your hat. This is final tribal council. I get it like a way more than the other ones, but to be the number one moment in this show's history is Sandra throwing Russell's hat in the fire. Like most of this list is a
show that has gone on for 15 years, 30 seasons, about to go into its 30th season. My parents love the show. I have friends who love the show. I could sit there and tell them, what do you think the number one greatest moment is? If any of them said Russell's hat,
you'd slap them.
I would slap them. And not only that, if I told them the greatest moment was Russell's hat getting burned, they'd probably look at me and be like, when did that happen? Because seriously, in the grand scheme of heroes versus villains, it's not that big of a deal. With all the stuff that happened in Heroes versus Villains, it wasn't. It was a good move by Sandra. It totally flustered Russell, but it wasn't that cool. I'm sorry. Like it's just like a non-factor. There's plenty of cool things that have happened that aren't the best moments, and for that to be number one.
James getting voted out with 2 idols. I mean, we could just go on all day.
Oh my god, dude. We could go from season 1 to season 29, and we could probably come up with 3 things from each season except for One World, South Pacific, and San Juan del Sur. And Redemption Island, because Redemption Island.
And Redemption Island and One World both had moments on here. So, I mean, this moments list was terrible. The magazine overall, I mean, I guess it's pretty good. I'll have to pick up a copy. I've only looked at the top 10s.
Yeah. I mean, it's like got like cool stuff. I mean, like it's nothing like too special, but I mean, I liked it. I mean, it was stuff. I read it. It was cool. They get into like a little bit of stuff. It's nothing that you're really gonna blow your mind, but you know, it's kind of cool to hear how it like all started and everything. So, and now I have it, and I can make fun of that list forever. In 10 years, when I don't remember Russell's hat getting thrown in the fire, I can come back to this, and I'll always remember it was the best moment in my favorite show.
Oh man! All right, we should wrap this up here.
Well, next week, it's finally showtime.
Right. Yeah. Next week we'll have our recap podcast. We'll give an update on the boot list, and again, just to have another boot list plug in here, there'll be a link right around here, around this painting.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, you gotta sign up for the boot list if you haven't. All you do is enter a boot list, and the scoring and everything is on there. So yeah, you can win a buff.
Anyone who wants to hear it live, we're gonna do it after the East Coast thing, right? After the East Coast thing, we'll do it at like probably close to 10 o'clock.
Amin's gonna have to watch a live stream of it in low quality, but for the sake of podcasting, right after the episode ends, I know you're on the East Coast and you don't want to stay up late, so yeah, I'll watch the very low quality stream.
Hey man, there's no good-looking people on the season anyway, so you're not missing out.
Sierra? Haley?
I was kidding. Don't worry, that was a joke. Jen?
Yeah, don't go there. Don't go there. Okay, so thank you for watching this one. Again, we just kind of rambled on, and I apologize for not having it be. I mean, it was a little better than last week, I think, because we just didn't talk about the same people. But finally, season 30 is starting next week. So we're excited for that. Hope you guys are, and we'll see you next week.